NBC News. This is Today.
Well, to be or not to be in the delivery room, that is. These days, as we mentioned earlier, 90% of expectant dads are front and center. And while they may cherish the experience, some of them are still a bit intimidated by it all. But there are things women can do to help their mates be better delivery room partners. Armin Brott is the author of The Expectant Father, Facts, Tips, and Advice for Dads to Be. Meanwhile, his wife, Elizabeth, designs family-friendly hospital delivery rooms. What a great partnership. Good morning to both of you. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
So what was it that made you want to write this book to begin with?
Well, the book that I started writing was basically, I didn't have that information when I was out there trying to get some information, figure out what I was going through, what I was thinking about. And so it was kind of the book that I wanted to have.
Was it sort of a big secret, and that's something you really even didn't talk about with other fathers?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's one of these things that, dads don't ask for directions, men don't ask for directions, so we certainly don't want to ask another guy, hey, what was it like to go through labor with your wife or something like that. We want to know it all. We want to be there. We want to do everything.
And they don't want to express necessarily their fears and insecurities, do they, when it comes to where they're going to be and how they're going to be helpful to their wives in the delivery room,
They don't want to make mistakes.
Well, I know that you guys, you guys do a step-by-step sort of guide to a father's experience there, and you say helping him to become a better delivery room partner involves a lot of things, and I know that the woman can play a huge role in this. We have some advice here, Elizabeth. One is keep him engaged and give him projects. Make sure dad takes breaks during labor, and mom needs to be his advocate and keep him in the loop. How are all those things helpful in making a man feel more comfortable?
Well, I think sometimes when the doctors or nurses come in to check on the status of the mom, they'll kind of push the father aside. The mother needs to be the advocate for the dad and say, hey, he's here too. He needs to know what's going on. Can you actually make sure he knows? Usually they're coming into the labor room with a plan, knowing whether they want to have medications or not together.
Right.
They'll have not only a bag packed for the man, but they'll have a bag packed for the woman, so he's got his own kit of tools.
So it's really important to talk about what will transpire, and in emergency situations, how you are going to work it out, because sometimes the woman is a little bit, not in a position necessarily to communicate properly with her physician, right?
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I know that you break it down for women in terms of what is really going through the minds of fathers in delivery rooms. You say your biggest concern is the health of your wife and your baby.
Yeah.
You don't like looking at let's say he doesn't like looking at you in pain. He hates feeling helpless. He just wants to be there for you.
Right. Well, we're supposed to be the provider protectors. And so when we have the woman that we love most in the world going through some terrible pain and there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it, it's really a very difficult situation to be in. And the worst possible thing you can do, which is kind of what some men would like to do, is say, honey, why don't you have the epidural now? Because we have a very different perception of pain than women do.
It is true, because in the delivery room, suddenly the man is relatively powerless compared to the role he normally plays in the family, right?
Yeah, and it all starts off in the birthing classes where they kind of label us as coaches, and we're talked about as being the coach. But the problem is that a lot of us think about coach as sports teams, and the guy who gets fired if something doesn't go right is the coach. And so we really need to kind of look at dads and say, he's the father, he's the partner, he's really an equal player here, not just somebody who's standing by giving directions.
I know that Donald Trump did not stay with his wife in the delivery room. He's one of the 10% of fathers who do not. And you think that as a result, he missed out on a really unique opportunity to bond with his wife and his baby, right?
I would have been terrified if Armin was not there with me. Hospitals can be very disorienting, and having someone that you know and love with you there through the entire experience gives you a very nice, grounded experience. And I think it's also a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I think he missed out on.
Meanwhile, you designed sort of new delivery rooms. How do they sort of accommodate the increasing roles of fathers in the process?
Well, they're much larger than they used to be, and it used to be a 4-step process where a woman labored in one area, delivered, then recovered, and then actually went to postpartum. Now all 3 or 4 of those steps can actually occur within one room. That can accommodate not only the father overnight, but sometimes other additional family members as well. They look like a 5-star hotel room as opposed to a real clinical delivery room, and all that equipment is hidden away.
But when is too much too much? Like, I've heard of grandfathers, grandparents. I'm sorry, but that's too much to me, where they have like the whole extended family there, and you're like, hi everybody.
it's supposed to be an intimate kind of a gathering. You think just like the husband and the wife and perhaps a couple of doctors would be nice and a few nurses. But when you start bringing people in, I think it really does detract from the whole mood of the thing.
All right.
I think some of that's also cultural too, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've got some interesting advice in both your books, The Expectant Father and The New Father, Armin and Elizabeth Brott. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Nice to see you both.